Hey
Perfect.
everyone, today it's after a long back and forth. I got a guest, finally to record. Rupesh Sanghavi. He's a long time e-commerce entrepreneur, fellow software engineer like me, but I'm still doing my software engineering. I do stuff on the side, but not full time like him. He's been 16 years at this business. I haven't gone fully into his details, so I'm going to learn just like you guys from asking him the questions, how he got on his journey. So Rupesh, can you share like how you started from your software engineer to what shifted you to this whole e-commerce and give a brief overview of what you do.
Sure. Absolutely, Raju. So, yes, I'm just perhaps you know it, maybe not, but by education, I'm a chemical engineer.
I did see that. Sorry, I forgot. Yes, I did see
Yeah,
that.
but I never worked in real plants, perhaps not even a day. I'm a black sheep in that way. From day one, I was hired to write, develop, design simulation software to be used by different engineers, especially chemical engineers. That is how I sort of moved from chemical to computer science. Once I was hired into that job, I ended up spending 2 to 3 years at UCHD learning various software programming.
Mm,
After that, after my marriage, I was actually looking for a book for my wife.
mm,
Turns out that I found book to be expensive based on my background and situation at that time. I dig deeper and I stumble upon a book I could buy for $40 and sell instantly for $1,600. I was so happy. I woke up my wife. I found something. That was literally a starting point. Since then, I wrote several programs myself initially, then used freelance programmers.
mm,
At that time, there used to be a company called Rent a Coder. I still love the name. I got some automation done, and that automation led to scale,
mm.
and scaling led to me hiring more people in US and around the world. That is how business went from one level to next. Few years later, we are in a good position.
Awesome. So let's go back to your whole book finding, right? You found the book, and essentially that seems like from what you shared, obviously started your commerce business journey, which is
Correct.
2000. When was that again? Which year was that, by the way?
That was 2004, 5 type of 2006, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So wasn't Amazon already doing the books thing? So how did you? Okay, Amazon ain't doing this, but here I am. I found this, avenue. Seems like I can make money. How did you? What was the mind? How did you go through the process? I know Amazon exists, but it doesn't matter.
Right.
I still can do this. So what was
Correct.
that whole thinking process?
I would say, as much as to take you into more details, Raju, the sale happened on Amazon. At that time, Amazon was just coming up, growing up.
Mm,
And for those who are aware of a famous flywheel from Jeff Bezos, he
mm,
believed in selection. That flywheel, one of the three component is a large selection.
mm,
And because he could not get all the selection or they could not get selection to begin with,
mm,
what they did was there was option to, so you go to Amazon and you say that I'm looking for an item, it's not available.
mm,
But when that item becomes available, I'm willing to pay $1,600 and for that particular item. And that's how, and I found a way to download that entire list of the item people are waiting for. Then that was my second step. Once I realized that it can happen, then I downloaded the entire list,
mm,
software program, so that I cross-check that list with eBay, so
mm,
that anytime if an item comes up that I know is already sold for a higher price on Amazon,
mm,
all I need to do is buy that item on eBay
mm.
and sell it on Amazon.
Wow, that's a great, yeah, that's ingenuity, right? Figuring
Yeah,
from your own problem something else that you stumbled across. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Wow, that's awesome.
exactly.
That's a
That
great way.
was the literally the start where it all started.
Got you. Now, fast forward, I was
Mhm.
asking before we started recording since we didn't have a chance. I thought originally based on some of the stuff, you might be helping people to kind of build their website and all. But you
Correct.
mostly just concentrate on your stuff, you're building your thing. But
Correct.
I see that you're helping people in some way. Could you get into that? Like, what do you, how do people, let's say people want to work with you or get some advice from you. What does that look like? And how do you kind of agree to help people? Or is there a program that you get people in? Anything like that? Could you share those details?
Number one, yes, we primarily we are a merchant of record commercially, and we sell our own stuff. We have our own team. But at the same time, I'm grateful for many people who have contributed positively to where I am today, starting from giving me scholarship to when I needed the most, to advice or support when I needed it. And I would be happy to do it. I've been doing it in any form that can help someone who is truly motivated. For some people, next job might be more important than any risk at that point. We are almost always hiring. We are almost always hiring. At the same time, I was doing corporate job at one point of time. So I would be happy to, and I've done some moonlighting, I've done some overlapping. Sometimes it is just a part of equation because of insurance, visa status, and so on. If anybody needs any kind of help, there are people who have used my address, there are people who have used my name, the context, or just a plain advice that, hey, I'm in this situation. Is there any solution you can think of? Just a brainstorming partner. I have done that. I would be happy to do it. There is no structured program because I'm not an educator, but anyone can reach out to me via LinkedIn. Even my phone number is available on LinkedIn, or they can send me a message, and I'd be happy to send them a phone number and they can reach out to me via WhatsApp, whatever works for them, or even email address is easy. My first name at argodinc.com, and I'd be happy to help them.
Awesome. So tell me in your journey, right? I mean, 16 years standing still. Was it the childhood, whatever you went through your childhood, or was it something you learned, later in life? What was the thing that pushed you forward?
I think when I started it, I think the biggest thing that pushed me forward was we were expecting our first child,
Mm,
and that time it just brings in different emotions. That, hey, wouldn't it be cool to give them a life perhaps that we always dreamed of?
mm,
And perhaps that was one emotional angle to it, I would say. And at the same time, looking back, and glad you asked this question, I think a lot of it also depended on the, how do I say it, that my long journey of, even during college years, I found ways to make some money during years after college. I mean, some 100% of the legal way and genuine way, but always have found some ways to get involved in transaction. So I think some of it is a natural leaning that, okay, this is something I love and I like. And I think I realized it over, perhaps it was a natural push, but this is something I've realized that, as the famous saying goes, that find a work that you like and you don't work ever. So fortunately in my situation, that is the case where I enjoy what I do and I don't feel burdened by my work.
mm. Got you. Yeah, well, since you and I will know this, but people who don't know this, if you ever read Gita or refer to it, it's called Karma Yoga, which means union with work. So
Correct.
once you find the union with work, then it doesn't matter. That's your duty. You just enjoy it. You get involved in it. And if you get lucky, find that early, seems like Rupesh did, and he got into, okay, got it. Awesome.
Thank you.
So, but it seems like you always had based on what you're saying, even when you were back in India, graduating and all, you always found ways to make money. So the entrepreneurial, I guess the bug or whatever you call it, was always there within you, essentially.
Yeah, you can say that. Absolutely. So
Got
that there was some natural inclination for sure, because there are almost always, even when I see our own kids, or for that matter, anyone, I see that there are almost all of us have that there are some areas where we have some very good natural inclination. And there are areas which is very hard and not natural for us. So it was sort of very natural for me.
Got you. Awesome. So was that so is there family history in that? Why do you think you had always had that? How did you get that entrepreneurial bug is my question, I guess. Was it from your parents or grandfather or somebody who was involved in business? That's what inspired you? What was the inspiration?
So looking back, see, that is the one thing. I'll tell you a little bit. Okay. So I was chief guest at IIM Raipur.
Mm,
Okay. For one of their annual function.
mm,
What is more important is on that side notes, I met someone
mm,
who was not from Gujarat
mm,
or not from the western part of the, but he's an IAS officer. So he
mm,
made a very interesting observation. And this is ties to the question you asked,
mm,
that he said that some of community that I'm part of, we tend to inspiration from all these very small businesses. They said that no matter
mm,
what what you do,
mm,
you will always find an uncle or a relative or a neighbor that
mm,
is already into business, and you go and be with them and then just absorb all the activities and all the movement
mm,
that happens as a part of business. And that is how you sort of absorb it. And it was a really an eye-opening line of what he observed, because yes, my dad was a part-time entrepreneur, I would say, but in one uncle relative in our family, he was a true inspiration. I considered him as a mentor,
mm,
even though he was helping 10 students like me. But every time when I go to his office to submit a report card for the year and stuff like that, I see that he had a great position. He's the only one with air conditioning and the biggest office, and he had this magical, but you know those rings, those desk ring that he can just punch in and two people will come in and say, yes, how can I help you?
mhm,
Type of, right? And
mhm,
it is like he never misused it. I can see that he was very compassionate, very caring person who largely contributed to who I am today. But that kind of image of a businessman, calling businessmen leading from the front in a
mhm.
good or bad times, perhaps left a lasting impression on me.
Got you. Yeah, that's why usually we always have somebody that other people who don't have that, but usually my experience is there's always somebody inspired them, and then especially
Correct.
someone who seems like you got on entrepreneur journey very early. For those who don't know, in India, normally it's not normal for people to do side hustles and all if you're doing a college degree and all that stuff. It's not normal. It's kind of frowned upon, like, oh, you're going below status and all that stuff. So people who are not used to Indian culture. And when I was saying IAS, which is Indian Administrative Service, it's one of the highest bureaucratic you can get into while writing an exam in India. It's legacy from British days. Anyway, so awesome. Now,
Thanks, Raju. Thanks for
yeah,
clarifying it.
yeah, because I wanted to make sure that whoever the Americans watching that they're like get what the context what you're talking about. So coming forward to now, who here, I guess, other than obviously the family, the kids and all, is there anybody here particularly inspired you on that journey, or it was more you just figured out the way essentially? Because you did mention there were people helping you, all that stuff, and that's why you like to give back. Obviously, India seems like you had helped, but in US, is there someone like that who was helping you tremendously in the business world, especially that kind of pushed you forward in the journey? You would say? I
No, not one to one, so to speak, directly. I have been blessed and inspired by many public figures who made me keep going.
mean,
And since 2020, I'm part of EO and YPO. They are US based organizations. Those for those who are not aware. So that's a a kind of group of entrepreneurs meeting and talking to each other. So after I joined in 2020, EO and YPO are 6 months apart. That is when I got in touch with many other leaders who kind of helped me or inspired me when I needed the most.
Awesome. And is that from the profile? So is that you also from there? That's where you essentially kind of help coach people when they need help? Is that because I know YPO, that's one of the big things. They do
Correct.
essentially advise, coach people, or I guess mastermind, lack of better word. Got you, got you. Now, is that's not that's basically more of your, I guess, the venture of your helping, but that's not involved in the business side. It's just more organization belong, give and take kind of deal, essentially.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Just like I mean, I've been helped passing it forward.
Got you. Awesome. In this journey, what would you say? As obviously, there's a lot of up and downs and all that stuff. 16 years, obviously, you had a lot of things. What would you say the keys for you to stay resilient and keep at it and keep growing?
I think that one line that I learned, I've grown to love is no means not now. I love that line. Keep repeating myself quite a few times because a lot of time when people say it cannot be done, it kind of actually pushes me forward, to be honest. When I, as you know, I started selling books, and when I quit my job, it was a well-paying job and all that, at that level. And I was kind of getting good reviews, and everybody was surprised that why would he leave job at this time? And I said, I'm gonna sell books online. And they said, but what would be your full-time profession? I said, this is going to be a full-time profession. Point is, a lot of time when people directly or indirectly say no, I take that as an internal challenge that, hey, why can't it be done? And then there are other times when you see some success story that you read about that, oh, Apple was almost on the verge of bankruptcy or stuff like that, and then how it turned around, and lot of success stories. So eventually you sort of learn that ups and downs are just a part of equation, and it's not a permanent state. You just keep pushing and keep hoping that whatever the dark tunnel you are going through would end soon. And somewhere, as you are aware, or maybe almost as all of us, we know that ultimately we are, how do I say it, that our best critic or being honest with oneself is the most important. There are times when I tried hard enough,
Mm,
and even if things don't work out, I don't, at least I'm honest with myself that I did what I could or what I thought at that time.
mm.
I was not just sitting and doing not nothing. I think that is that self-critic in you would help you if they know that you have done what you could to come out of it. And that matters.
Got you. Awesome. Now, is there anything you do to? I was going to ask this question, but I think you might have answered it already. I was going to ask, hey, when was the lowest point and how did you get out of it? But based on what you're saying, you kept an even keel and always push forward. But what are the practices you do? As Indians, many are into meditation and all that stuff. Is there certain practices you do to keep that even keel that, okay, keep going. Yeah, the downs will come. Anything you can share that has helped you in your practice, in your helping your mindset stay even keel?
Correct.
What is that you helped
So
you?
I think for me, going solo, doing something without distraction
Mm,
is sort of my meditation. I'm not very good at truly meditation stage,
mm,
but whenever I'm by myself,
mm,
it helps me clear my mind quite a bit.
mm,
And it's that internal thinking or dialogue or brainstorming
mm,
is one of the best way for
mm.
me to come with the terms of wherever it is. Maybe it's not a meditation in a
It
traditional
is.
sense,
It
but
is.
it's the way sometimes I do, like I might have a eyes open, but I'm into deep thinking. So
Right.
That's natural.
Right. No, that's exactly right. There's walking meditation. They call it walking meditation. You're walking and thinking through
Correct.
the process or being present with the whatever you're doing, right? So that's awesome. Okay. Well, with that, then I will go with the final three questions. So the final three questions are, what's the best book you read that has helped you and that can help others? Can be personal, professional, doesn't matter. We don't want to go religion. Other than religion, what's the best book?
I would say, I mean, of course, all of us have more than, it's hard to pick one best book, but there are many. But one thing that I think perhaps put first audiobook I actually read or listened is book called Straight from the Gut by Jack Welch.
Hmm.
And that was an amazing book in many ways because it was not all theory or all high management concept. It's this one person talking about his first hand experience from the top
Hmm.
was quite an eye-opening. I still quote many a times from that book to my team and to myself and stuff like that. But perhaps if you ask me same question for next 10 days, maybe I will have a 10 different answers. But today, I still love that book. It's a class. I mean, that one person, Jack Welch, has described what it is like to be a leader and stay leader. And I think that taught me more about leadership perhaps than any other things that I've read or understood.
Awesome. All right. That's a great suggestion. I haven't read it. I heard about it, but I haven't read it. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Next one is, what inspires you to get up and do what you do every day? I guess people by the time, if they listen to your conversation, they probably could guess it, but please share.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's the excitement of, okay, a large portion of my team is outside United States. What's exciting for me is to check first thing in the morning what happened to all those things, communication, request, instructions, whatever I did a day before. What is the response? What's the progress on that? In general, I love that excitement to see about how is the progress, how is our state of business. I think that keeps me motivated, excited. And one more thing I love is that I feel that the earlier I start day, I will have more time to do some creative things because in almost every single day, I have things that I must do and there are things that I want to do.
Right.
And the faster I get out of must zone, then I can go into more creative zone.
Gotcha. Awesome. All right. Now, I was going to ask the last tip, but I forgot. I forgot, or I just remembered I could have asked this question. So I'll
Sure.
ask the question as a tip and slash. So for people who want to be on this business journey, right? What's the best tip you could give them?
I think the best I would say is take a plunge.
Hmm.
Start somewhere
Hmm.
because many businesses that I know of, or almost all the businesses, never had a perfect starting point, so to speak. That okay, all of my things are in order, all of it. I don't have a responsibility on personal side. I'm ability to take a risk, blah blah blah. There could be many
Mhm.
valid reasons to believe that. But I think along the way, once you start somewhere, I
Mhm.
think things will be, it kind of gets clear. There was a one post I read not too long ago that, for example, Samsung started as a grocery business, believe it or not, right? We know in India, Wipro was a oil business that they started. So a lot of these businesses, they start somewhere and then they kind of move forward. There are plenty of other things I can say which may sound cliche, but yeah, I think this would be my number one. Like I almost always say, start somewhere. You will never learn to swim by reading book. You just got to take a plunge.
There you go. Awesome. That's actually great. Anything you want to do, yeah, especially IT folks are famous for this. Many don't want to do anything till they like everything is good and They've got all the information, preparation, engineers especially. They want everything ready before they do anything. Business doesn't work that way, right? You have to
Correct.
take a plunge. Yeah, you might fail, but that's how you learn. But excellent tip. Rupesh, thanks for taking the time. And I will share Rupesh's information. Obviously, LinkedIn, I'll be tagging him so you can connect with him through that. And like Rupesh said, hey, if there is anything he can help with or give an advice, he'll be more than happy to do that. I don't know if there's any business to be done with Rupesh, but perhaps, maybe, I don't know. You connect with him and figure it out. So again, thanks, Rupesh. Thanks again.
Thank you, Raju. Thanks for having me.